Hi, it's Gabby Reese, and this podcast is powered by Laird Superfood. It was created in our kitchen by my husband, big wave surfer Laird Hamilton, and it all started with a simple idea. What began as Laird's secret for long-lasting energy on the waves is now Laird Superfood, offering a full range of delicious plant-based creamers, coffee, greens, and more. Visit lairdsuperfood.com and use the code GABBY2024 and save 20% on your first order.
With AT&T in-car Wi-Fi, elevate your adventure by transforming your vehicle into a reliable Wi-Fi hotspot. Connect up to 10 devices up to 50 feet away from your vehicle, making it ideal for camping and road trips. Don't miss out on the fun. Embark on your next adventure today. Visit att.com/in-car Wi-Fi to check if you're eligible for a free trial. Always pay careful attention to the road and don't drive distracted. Wi-Fi hotspot intended for passenger use only when vehicle is in operation. Compatible device and vehicle required.
Draft season is brought to you by Moody's. Decode risk. Unlock opportunity. Visit Moody's.com to learn more.
The NFL Draft is now officially open.
This is draft season. John Schmeelk, Tony Pauline from Sports Keto with you. We're in the middle of NFL free agency here. This is part 2 of our combine review. We're going to do defense today. If you want the offensive players, go check out last week's episode. We didn't want to, touch too much on free agency kind of like right as it's starting in the negotiation period. So we'll talk next week about how free agency might impact some team needs in the NFL draft, which will be really important. So stay tuned for that. But again, we'll talk about the defensive side of the combine and kind of the latest things Tony's hearing about some of these players and how they might go. Tony, let's start up front with the big men, the defensive tackles. Obviously, we thought heading into this year, the defensive tackle class would be really deep and really strong. I think it faded a little bit, but I think we did get some pretty good workouts here at the Combine that people have gotten pretty excited about. Let's start with Braden Fisk, who, again, I think a lot of people were blown away by his workout. I expected him to work out really well watching his tape and watching him at the Senior Bowl, so it didn't shock me. The 6'5", 292 is obviously small, but 4.78 40, 1.68 split. He jumped pretty well. Good shuttle time. If you're looking for a pass rushing undersized 3-tech, he's your guy.
6'4", actually. 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". I mean, there's a bit of growth potential there, but yeah. And the guy's motive. The guy just never stops. 26 reps on the bench, even though he's got 31-inch arms. There is some injury history in the past there that teams are a little bit concerned about, but I don't think that he really helped himself because he is what he is. And he had a great Senior Bowl. First of all, he had a great senior year at Florida State after transferring from Western Michigan. Great Senior Bowl, terrific combine. But again, I mean, when you're looking at that one gap 3 technique type of alignment that he projects to, you narrow your market so not every team is going to really be after you.
Yeah, Byron Murphy also checked in just 6 feet tall, but his testing, Tony, off the charts. And he checked every box you would think from an explosion athletic standpoint.
And he looked the part, too. I mean, I saw him up at the podium. He looked like he was, he just stepped off the stage of a Mr. Universe contest. And the thing that really impressed me about Murphy is when I saw him at the podium and I saw him, with the no-sleeve shirt, you think he's going to be a tight guy. You think he's muscle-bound. But he moved. He was very fluid, moved around the field very well, did a good job in the drills, very explosive. I think with him, the under 6'1" is a bit of an issue, but the fact is he can play 3 technique. He can be used as a conventional tackle. I think you can even use him as a 2-gap end and a 3-man front, which is what they did a lot of times at Texas.
All right, let's go to Rook Orororo, one of our favorite names in the draft class, Tony. 6'4", 294, ran a sub 4.9 40, 4.89, 32-inch vert. I think he's kind of been lost a little bit during this process. We've talked about him a couple times, but he's not a big name that's been out there. I think he's going to be a really good NFL player, and I think he's pretty versatile too.
Just about 6'4", 298 pounds, which means he's probably going to get bigger. Well, he's got some growth potential. Good position drills. I think the fact he kind of got lost because he played with Tyler Davis, went back for that second senior year. Clemson was okay this year, and then he didn't participate in the Senior Bowl, so he kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I agree with you. Real good position drills, real good workout. 4.89 with a 1.67 10-yard split, which is very important. 29 reps on the bench with 34-inch arms. And as I said, ultimately his playing weight 2 or 3 years down the line is probably going to be closer to 310, 315.
Three guys that I'll put in the same bucket here, Tony, where they wowed me from a physical standpoint and athletic standpoint, but their tape was underwhelming when you watched it. You have Gabe Hall from Baylor, Mason Smith from LSU, who looks like he could go, wrestle in the WWE right now. He's got such broad shoulders. And then Chris Jenkins from Michigan.
I mean, Jenkins, I've talked about him. People thought he was going to be a first-round pick. I know he had the high ankle sprain last year, but again, I think it's a situation with Jenkins where, he was really good when he was playing next to Mozzie Smith because Mozzie Smith was occupying all the blockers and he was getting all the attention. This year, he kind of struggled a bit. He had a good player next to him, although he's not as advanced as Mozzie Smith. Real good athlete who's got to get his game back on gear. Completely agree with you about Mason Smith and Gabe Hall. I mean, Gabe Hall, we saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's great in one-on-ones. He tests incredibly well. You watch the game film, and you're like, where's Gabe Hall? Oh, there he is being blocked by a single guy down after down after down with little production. Mason Smith, I believe he made a mistake entering the draft. Had a great season, I believe it was 2021 on the sidelines in 2022. You watch him this year. He plays in dribs and drabs. He moves really well, but I think you're looking at, a day 3 pick with Mason Smith, someone who people project as a first-round choice. And the problem for Mason Smith or guys like that is the curves are so much steeper when they get to the next level. It's not just the playing curve or the competition curve. It's the learning curve, the conditioning curve, the attention to detail curve. It's so far. It's so steep. And, you got to be on your game 24/7, which is why I think a guy like Mason Smith should have stayed in school.
We talked about a couple guys, Tony, in our last program, how at 340 pounds, Amarius Mims looked, like an Adonis, right? Like not a lot of body fat. Well, Tavondre Sweat's kind of the opposite of that. He skipped his weigh-in at the Senior Bowl, and I think both of us raised our eyebrows like, what did he weigh, 380, 385? And he weighed at
I got a story about that.
Okay, well, real quick, he weighed in at 366 at the Combine, and I don't think he carried 366 all that well. Now, tell your story.
I apologize for interrupting you there, but
no, you're fine.
I don't know that he skipped the weigh-in at the Combine versus it was just never publicized. Because I was talking to people at the Combine who told me that he was over 390 pounds.
At the Senior Bowl, you mean? At the Senior Bowl, yeah.
At the Senior Bowl, right. Yeah. You said, I know they skipped the weigh-ins at the Senior Bowl. I just don't know that they put the weight out there because there were people who told me that he was close to 390 pounds, over 390 pounds at the Senior Bowl. Now, whether he stepped on the scale or whether they knew that going in, but yeah, he is a big guy and didn't run too bad at 5.27, although that 10 split was kind of slow, which is amazing because when you watch the film, he gets off the snap with a great first step. But he's got to get that weight down because you're not going to be able to overpower people with that weight on Sunday the way you do on Saturday.
And then Darius Robinson, he's kind of a tackle and hybrid type, and I'll throw Marshawn Nealand into that too. His workout was fine. Marshawn Nealand, on the other hand, Tony, I thought his workout was tremendous. 6'3", 267. His 3-cone and shuttles were really good. His 40 was just a 4.75, not fantastic, but good enough, but he jumped really well. I thought Marshawn Nealand helped himself. He's going to be a day 2 pick. And I think Darius Robinson, again, I don't think he hurt himself. I don't think he helped himself.
Marshawn Nealand's 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle were incredible. 7.02. That's what a lot of defensive backs want to run, in the low 7 area if they can't get underneath 7. 35.5-inch vertical jump. So, the 4.75, but those shuttles and 3-cone were incredible. Darius Robinson's testing numbers were not great, but he looked really good in position drills. Moved well, showed explosive hand punch and bag drills, fluid going sideline to sideline. He's got great length. He's got great growth potential, and that's why people think he could hop into the late part of round 1.
All right, let's jump over to defensive ends here, Tony. Your boy Chop did exactly what we thought Chop was going to do. He tested like a freak. 254, which I thought was a good weight for him. 449 40, a ridiculous 154 40-yard split, which is just great. His jumping numbers, weren't off the charts, but they were certainly good. I thought he flashed all the athleticism he needed to. And then Dallas Turner was the other guy who, just tested off the charts. Just 6'2", 6. That's 6'2" and 3/4, 247 pounds. I thought it was a little bit light for him, but a 4.46 and a 40-inch vertical.
Yeah, I mean 6'3", 247 for Turner. So and he can play in space. I mean, he can those athletic numbers are translated onto the field when you watch the film. He's incredibly explosive. He's fast, not the bulkiest guy in the world. He's got to get a little bit stronger, but he's a younger guy. Chop Robinson, a little bit bigger. I've talked about Robinson at length. I love him on film. Not just a wide angle rusher, shows an inside move, works his hands very well, has that athleticism, as you see on film, can change direction, get out into space, and make plays in pursuit. And again, with Robinson, it's going to be a situation. I think he solidified himself as a mid-first round choice. You can use him in a four-man line. You can stand him up over tackle because he's got that athleticism. And those testing numbers, he translates onto the football field.
How about his arm length, Tony? Is that a worry at all for you?
I mean, I really don't worry about arm length for defenders as much as unless you're a cornerback with really short arms. I mean, 32.5-inch arms. He may not be able to bat down as many passes as he can, but you watch him. He's a quick, explosive guy who shows it's more with the hand movement than the arm length. As a defensive lineman, defensive pass rusher to protect yourself and get off blocks.
And how about Dallas Turner's workout? Your thoughts?
I thought it's incredible. As I said, I mean, he translates that work. Doesn't surprise me because if you watch him on film, he's looked at very athletic the past 3 years at Alabama.
All right, Jared Verse, I thought he did really well, Tony. Going in, I thought he would test okay, and the 4.6 40 was good. His jumps were good, 6'3", almost 6'4", 254 pounds. I thought Jared Verse, again, solidified himself as a mid-first round pick. And I'll throw these two guys into the same bucket because I don't think either one are elite athletes. But I thought Laiatu Latu was fine too, 6'4" 3/4, just under 260 pounds, a 4.64 40. His jumps weren't very good, but again, he's not the most explosive guy when you watch him on tape anyway. So I thought both those guys, again, much like Turner and Chop, I think you're looking at mid-first round for all four of those guys.
Yeah, I think with Verse, he ran faster than people expected. People were thinking mid to late 4.6s. You don't see that elite burst, but he was very athletic, 31 reps on the bench. And I agree with you about Laiatu. 4.64 is not a good. We're talking about 4.64 not being a good time right now for a guy that is his size at 259 pounds. That's the way things have changed. But he shows a lot of athleticism on film. It actually is a good time. But Muhammad Kamara, who we saw at the Shrine Bowl, he had an exceptional workout as well.
Yeah, he was the last guy on my list here for guys that stood out, Tony. 4.58 40-yard dash. He jumped pretty well. Just 6'1", though, and 248 pounds. So he's going to have to be a bit of, I think, a designated pass rusher to start until he gets that weight up a little bit.
Going to have to learn to make plays off the line of scrimmage in space. Cedric Johnson of Mississippi, who had a real good workout, 4.63 in the 40, 38-inch vertical jump, 6'3", 260 pounds. And he's an athletic guy. I mean, they kind of used him in different roles at Mississippi, up at the line of scrimmage as a pass rusher. They had other guys there who rushed the pass. They used him in space. He was able to get depth on his pass drops. You wonder how he's going to be used at 6'3", 260 pounds in the NFL. Is he going to be a guy that stands over tackle? Is he going to be someone who comes out of a three-point sense? Are they going to use him at both? But he's got the underlying athleticism.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then I guess the guy that I put a little asterisk next to was Braylon Trice, who came in light at just 245 pounds, if I recall correctly. And then he only ran a 4.7 at a light weight. And then I thought his field workouts were a little bit rough too. He kept tripping over bags and in some of the bag drills. We had concerns about his athleticism coming in, and I think we have concerns about his athleticism coming out, even though his tape is really fun to watch.
Really good. I mean, 6'3.5", 245 pounds. 10-yard split wasn't that great. I never really considered him as a first-round pick, but still, if you're looking for a pass rusher day two, you're going towards Trice at some point in time.
I'm with you. And I thought Chris Brazel was fine and, a bunch of the other guys. So, again, nice group here if you're looking for a pass rusher. Let's go to linebacker, Tony. And the two guys I'll bring up to start here, and then you can take it any way you want. Edgerrin Cooper, I just think his frame is very narrow. Like, he just does not look like a very thick guy. 230 pounds, 6'2", but he ran really well, 4.51, 34.5-inch vertical leap. I thought, I think that's pretty good too. So, your thoughts on Edgerrin Cooper before I get to my second guy here?
He plays big football. I mean, he's not a big guy, but you watch the film and he just sells out and he makes plays. He busts through blocks to get to behind the line of scrimmage, but he's not bad in coverage. I mean, he gets depth on his pass drops. He covers a lot of area on the field. With that athleticism, you're going to be able to develop him into, an off-the-ball linebacker, which he didn't do a bad job of at Texas A&M. That's got pass rush ability.
Peyton Wilson was great, Tony. 6'4", 233, ran a 4.43, 34.5-inch vertical leap. People say his medicals came out looking okay, but he's had a lot of injury issues. That'll be a team-by-team deal. But in terms of his, on-the-field play and his athleticism, his field workout, I thought was really good. Peyton Wilson, I think if you take the injuries out of it, to me, he's the top linebacker in this class.
Hands down, he's a top 45 pick. And I don't know how people are saying the medicals came out okay, because there's a lot more evaluation that goes into it. And as I had said at sportskeeda.com, what happens is the Monday before the draft, sometimes a week before the draft, the medical teams will get together with the general manager and the head coach, and they'll go over the guys, and they will make their decision then. So no one's really made a decision on medicals on any player at this point in time. And I was told that the medical grades on Peyton Wilson were really bad. He's a great football player. He's fun to watch. I think the speed was a lot faster. Again, expectations. People were looking at high 4.6s, low 4.7s. Comes in and runs a 4.43 with a 1.54 10-yard split, which was as fast as some of the receivers. So he's got the athleticism. 6'4", 233 pounds. Has the frame to easily get up to 240, 245. It's going to come down. Where he's drafted will come down to the medicals. His next level, or his career at the next level, will come down to durability, and that's always got to be in the back of somebody's mind.
All right, Tony, two of the linebackers I want to hit on, then you can take it any direction you want. Trevin Wallace is not someone we've talked about a lot here. I'd like to get your take on him as a player because I haven't watched him yet. 6'1", 237, ran a 4.51, 37.5-inch vertical leap, 10.7 broad. Really good athlete. What do you think of him as a player, and what do you think of his workout?
Terrific. I mean, he is a guy, when you watch the Kentucky film, he shows the makings of a three-down linebacker. He's a fierce, in-the-box run defender who also gets depth on his pass drops. A younger guy who has tremendous upside. He was had to be one of my risers from the linebacker group. I thought he just had an outstanding workout. I love his upside.
And I liked Edefuan Ulofoshio from Washington, Tony. Just 6 feet tall. I know that, teams will not like the height. Just 236 pounds, ran a 4.56, jumped almost 40 inches, 10.8 broad. And I thought his field workout was really strong. You listen to him at the podium, I think he comes off as a very intelligent young man. I liked what I saw out of him, and I know medicals for him are going to be a big deal as well.
Big deal. I mean, looked like a star in the making early in his Washington career. Had, like the other linebacker, or ZTE, or whatever they call him, Zion, the pass rusher, had his career interrupted, his development interrupted by the injuries. Fierce run defender who's also smart. He's got it going on between the ears. Very instinctive. But again, you got to consider the medicals, how it's going to affect his draft stock, and is he going to be able to hold his body together, at the next level.
Any other linebackers jump out at you, Tone?
I thought Maris Lafau of Notre Dame ran much faster than anybody thought. Everybody expected 4.75, 4.80. He runs a 4.64 with a 1.59 split. Nathaniel Watson out of Mississippi State, a guy who is very athletic, has shown a lot of ability during his college career. 4.63 with a 1.59 10-yard split. 6'2", 233 pounds. He's just got to pull it together. He's just got to learn to be a complete linebacker. And someone we saw at the Senior Bowl who kind of gets lost in the shuffle. No one talks about him, but he's been a real good linebacker. Is Tyrese Knight of UTEP, 4.63 40, 34.5-inch vertical jump, 7.25 3-cone. More of a smaller one gap type of defender, but a guy who is going to be a day 3 pick. You're looking at a situational backup linebacker, special teams player.
All right, let's jump over to safety. We'll leave the corners for last, the same way we left the wide receivers for last. They're the fastest guys. We'll let them back clean up for us here, Tony. At safety, the one guy I want to point out, a lot of the top safeties didn't do everything, so this is going to be a shorter review here. And I talked about him and how I really liked his tape at the Senior Bowl, and you went back and you rewatched all the tape. I thought Cole Bishop was fantastic. 6'2", 206 pounds, not the biggest frame in the world. I get that. Ran a 4.45 at a 39-inch vertical jump. I thought his field workout was excellent. He had some injury issues, I know. He kind of pulled up on one of his runs. But, I thought Cole Bishop looked really good throughout the process. I think he's really helped himself here since the season's been over. And I like him as a safety that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and he's got the mentality for it. I mean, he plays all out, but he's also very instinctive. He plays under control. I was sitting with Utah people when the safeties, when the DBs were working out on Friday, and they were very happy with his workout.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Kalen Bullock ran a 4.48, which I think is a good time for him. We expect him to run well. Didn't really do much else. Tyler Nubin didn't do anything. Jaden Hicks had a good workout, but didn't run the 40. We'll have to wait and see for him. Bullard ran the 40, but didn't do anything else. Ran a 4.47. I thought that was a good time for him.
I thought Bullard's position work was pretty good when I watched it.
I agree.
Thought he showed me a lot of things, moving around the field, played to that 4.47 speed. Bullock moves very, very well. Really skinny legs. I mean, I talked to somebody from USC who I hung out with part of the weekend. I asked him, was he a track and field guy? Because he's got a track and field build. Dejon Anthony of Mississippi didn't have the greatest workout in the world. 4.55 in the 40 with a 1.51 10-yard split, which is pretty good. 37-inch vertical jump. I thought his position work was outstanding. Fluid moving in reverse, quick flipping his hips, got his head back around, tracked the pass in the air, made a lot of nice simulated interceptions, if you will. I thought that he showed enough athleticism to be a day 3 pick, but I really liked his position work.
What name was that, Tony? I'm sorry.
Dejon Anthony from Mississippi.
Got it. One guy that I put a little red flag on, Tony, is Cam Kinchins. 5'11", 200, only 203 pounds, and then only at 203 pounds ran a 4.65 40 with a 1.62 10-yard split, barely jumped over 9 feet in the broad. Those are like huge red light flags, sirens blaring. Is he meeting the minimal athletic requirements for that position? And I know safety's not a big testing position. I get that, but those are alarming numbers.
You thought going into the process, maybe this guy is a 3rd-round pick. Leaving the process, you're now looking at 5th, 6th round. I mean, that's the reality of it. There are some guys who basically, especially defensive backs, who run themselves out of the draft with 4.40 times, 35-inch vertical jump. I like Kitchen's film, but with that size and with those those testing numbers, it doesn't add up.
All right, let's go to corner, Tony, and wrap this sucker up. Let's start with Nate Wiggins, just because he ran the fastest. A 4.28, hurt his hip flexor, didn't do anything else. The joke I've been making, I'm sure people are tired of hearing it, is that he's kind of like one of those two-dimensional cartoon characters where if they turn sideways, he disappears and you can't see him because he's so skinny. Boy, he's thin. 173 at 6'2", or 6'013, so about 6'1.5" at 173 pounds. He can fly, which I'm not surprised based on what we saw on tape. But boy, I mean, I knew he was skinny on his tape, but seeing him in person, he is skinny. Whew.
The irony is with Wiggins, when you watch the film, he does a lot of trailing. He's got to play catch up to a lot of guys down the field, which makes you think that while he's fast and while he's athletic, there's too much hesitation in his game mentally. And that's got to kind of come together because you can't have that on Sunday. But the fact is the 4.28 at that position is going to help him.
Quinion Mitchell, I think, is making a case, Tony, to be the number 1 cornerback. I got to be honest with you. Think about this. We love this tape, but we go, Toledo, a lot of off coverage. I don't know. Then he goes to the Senior Bowl, plays press man against the top receivers in the country. No one can get open against him. He was dominant. Shows up to the combine. He said to me in my interview with him at the Senior Bowl that he wanted to set records. Well, not quite a record, but 4.33 in the 40-yard dash is pretty darn good with a 1.51 split, a 38-inch vertical, pardon me, a 10-foot 2-inch broad jump. If he's the top corner off the board in the top 15 here, I'd be fine with it, and I would not be surprised.
Not at all. And I had reported this, from the Senior Bowl, and he's just putting it all together. I mean, he's a good player from his basically 3-year career in Toledo. He showed that he could play with the top receivers in the country at the Senior Bowl, and now he's a good athlete. So he's got the complete package. And like you said, at the Senior Bowl, it was press coverage, and he shut down everybody. And he's got the size, and he's got the athleticism to play at the next level. We had talked about it, reported from the Senior Bowl that he could be the first cornerback selected in the draft, and it's looking more and more likely like that at this point in time. I think he's a better corner, better ball skills than Wiggins. Terry Arnold, I think, checked in a little bit bigger than I thought. But Terry Arnold, for most of his Alabama career, played over the nickel played nickel over the slot receiver, where I think Mitchell is a true outside corner.
Yeah, and I thought Arnold's workout, it wasn't breathtaking in terms of his numbers, posted numbers, but it was good enough. And I thought his field work was really good. So I think Terry Arnold is right, still smack there in the middle of the first round. How much do you think Kool-Aid McKinstry, his draft stock is going to suffer because of that Jones fracture?
It's gonna hurt. I mean, teams are gonna have to figure out when he's gonna be fully healthy with that type of fracture. He's gonna need extra time before he's back on the field. I still think he's a first round pick, but I think he's out of the conversation to be the first cornerback selected. Is he going to get a full workout in before the draft? That's also very important.
All right, 2 slot guys I thought did well, Tony. Mike Sandra still from Michigan. He's a guy I worried about his athletic testing. It wasn't off the charts, but it was certainly good enough given his field work. His field workout was really good, his drills, and his game tape is really good. Good ball skills, smart kid. You listen to him talk. So I think he did fine. He's going to be a second round pick, I think, at some point, be a good slot player. And then the local kid, Max Melton out of Rutgers, Tony. I thought he was wonderful. 5'11", 187, ran a sub 4.40, 1.51 split, 40-inch vert, over 11-foot broad jump. Athletically, Max Melton checks every box you're looking for.
And he looked like on the field, he looked like it as a freshman, but his game never really improved. You thought freshman season at Rutgers, this guy's got first round written all over him, and then his game kind of leveled off, even regressed to points. So the interesting thing with Max Melton is when you look at his high points and you look at the combine workout, he looks like a day 2 pick. But when you look at the overall body of work at Rutgers, he's more like a 5th rounder. So is somebody going to roll the dice on him, and take him in day 2 because he's got that potential, he's got that athleticism, you can develop him? Or are they going to say, this is a guy who's a bit of an enigma and really should have been better throughout his Rutgers career than he actually was? All
right, those are 2 smaller corners. The last 2 corners I'll mention, Tony, are 2 bigger guys. Kyrie Jackson had a really nice day, almost 6'4", 4.5 40, 194 pounds, good vert, good broad jump. I thought he did pretty well. And Cam Hart, a guy from Notre Dame, who I did worry about what his athleticism would be, he tested well too. I think if you're looking for big corners, hello Dan Quinn in Washington, hello Seattle Seahawks, all these teams that like the big, long corners, I think those 2 guys will certainly fit that bill.
And Kyrie Jackson, I mean, he was terrific at times during the Senior Bowl. A younger guy, 1.5 10-yard split with that 40, 11.1 broad jump. A lot, he's a guy who sort of like the kid that came out of UTSA a couple years ago, tall, fast, not the complete package yet, but if you coach him correctly and you can develop him, watch out. I mean, with that size, he's an aggressive corner. He's got solid ball skills, just has to develop a complete game.
All right, Tony, final question, unless there's another corner you want to bring up.
Well, I think we got to talk about the flip side of this. I mean, I texted you kind of sarcastically that Kalen King was doing everything possible not to get drafted. I mean, you watch Kalen King. Here's a guy who some people thought was a potential first-round pick coming into the season. I never thought that. Did not have a good campaign in 2023. got eaten alive by Marvin Harrison Jr. in the Ohio State game. We saw him get beaten like a drum at Senior Bowl practice. Runs a 4.61 in the 40 at 191 pounds. I mean, Kalen King right now, you're looking at a guy that is at best a 5th-round choice, potentially a 6th-round choice. I mean, playing bad football, doesn't test well. That's not really good. I think I never bought into Enos Rakestraw being a 1st-round pick, 193 pounds, runs a 4.5, 140, 154 split, 10-foot broad jump. I think Rakestraw, when you watch him on film, he's a smaller guy. He's more of a slot corner, over a nickelback type guy. I just never saw this love for him as a 1st-round pick. Conversely, I actually thought his teammate Abrams Drain had a good workout, had good position drills. Chris Abrams Drain 4.40 at the combine at 180 pounds, and I liked his game. I don't think he's rated higher than Rakestraw. I just never understood the love for Rakestraw as a top 32 pick.
All right, let's wrap up defense with this question then, Tony. Who do you think will be the first defensive player taken in this draft, and why?
Some people said Byron Murphy, but I think it's going to be Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player taken in the draft. I think Dallas Turner will be the only top 10 defensive player taken in the draft. You look at the size, you look at the athleticism, you look at the versatility. No, he's not there yet. But as I said with this guy, people call him an edge rusher. You go back, you watch the film from his freshman year when he was an off-the-ball linebacker and he was making plays all over the place. I think the versatility to use him up the field as a pass rusher, the pass history and the athleticism to drop him off the line and use him into space. As you like to say, he's like sort of like the Swiss Army knife. You look at the other guys. Quentin Mitchell I like, but he's not going to go that early. And he hasn't had played at a high level of competition consistently. Murphy, under 6'1". I think right now when you're looking at the defensive class, Dallas Turner is the closest you're going to get to the complete package.
I would agree with all of you, what you just said. Tony, good stuff. Check out Tony's work at Sportskeeda. I am John Schmeelk with the New York Football Giants. If you like this content, go to giants.com/podcast to check out all of our podcast offerings. Again, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about how free agency might impact what teams' needs are going to be and how this NFL draft will go. So check that out. We'll be back with more next week on draft season. Enjoy the chaos of NFL free agency. We'll see you next week on draft season.
Tired of restless nights? At Leesa, we know good sleep is essential for mental, physical, and emotional health. From memory foam mattresses to hybrids that keep you cool all night long, Leesa's mattresses offer exceptional comfort and support with free delivery and 100 nights to try out your mattress in the comfort of your home. For a limited time, save up to $700 off select mattresses plus 2 free pillows. Go to leesa.com/iHeart for an additional $50 off mattresses and select goods. Exclusions apply. See leesa.com for more details.
Tired of pickup truck bed chaos? Meet Decked. Game-changing USA-made full bed-length drawers for tools and gear. Waterproof, dust-proof, lockable, secure. Whether you're working, hunting, fishing, camping, or just getting out of town. And introducing Decked Deco cases. Tough, modular, problem-solving cases built for the truck, job site, campsite, or garage. Say goodbye to random bins and tie-downs. Order now at decked.com/iHeart for free shipping. Decked. Your truck, your rules. Decked.com/iHeart.